Infrastructure is crumbling and the problems are only getting worse. The pressure to find solutions is hot. Let's talk about why American cities have no water, no electricity, and no money to fix their infrastructure problems. Welcome to the Infrastructure Hot Seat Podcast, hosted by Chad Smeltzer.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Infrastructure Hot Seat. My name is Chad Smeltzer. I am your host. Today's guest is Joseph Blackman, who is a podcast man himself and representing Vitenda, right? Is that it?
Vitenda, yeah, Vitenda Training Solutions, yeah.
What's your podcast?
So the podcast is called the Public Works Podcast, and it details everything public works.
I love it. I started, Suzanne, right? Suzanne was, she gave me my first podcast interview. I was like, this is cool. I never got to experience it. And then I saw you were doing it too. And I'm like, man, there's people actually doing it in public works. This is great. We need to get more awareness out there.
I think everybody who is selling something or promoting something should have their own podcast. Because it's like, even if you have 10 listeners versus 10,000 listeners, like, make it so people can listen to what you got to say and hear what you got to talk about. So like, it's easy to be creepable when you got your own podcast.
Build your brand. I mean, if you're out there in sales and you're trying to build your, what you're passionate about and talk about it, this is a great way to do it. It is.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So how did you get started in public works? What's your history? Where did you, in the trenches? Like, what happened?
So I started off in truck sales, right?
Okay.
I used to sell Vector trucks and Elgin street sweepers to cities, and this was back in the San Francisco Bay Area. And like, the cool thing about this industry is that there's so many older guys. I don't want to say old, let's say seasoned. So many seasoned, operators or just people in the industry, and they want to give back. And like, my first year in this industry, I rode with a guy who was, his last year retirement, he was the man. Like, he knew everything. He was super passionate. And that passion, I picked it up through osmosis of being with him. Like, he just, like, all the cool stuff about the industry, it just bled into me because I had to ride with him for a year. And that's kind of where I developed the passion for the industry. But then, like, as I started to sell and get out there on my feet, on my own, I realized that an issue within the trades, because I never really saw this when I was in my other jobs within the trades, is that the silver tsunami. You get all these 55-year-old operators, these seasoned veterans, and they're retiring in the next 5 to 10 years. Like this, they're retiring every day. Like it's happening.
Yeah. Yep.
But that knowledge transfer from the seasoned operator to the fresh Gen Z or millennial operator, it's that knowledge gap is there, and that's kind of where I came up with the service of Vitenda. I used to sell a $500,000 truck to somebody, right?
Yeah.
To a city. I would train them up on everything, but 2 months later, they kind of forgot everything I told them. So I said, you know what, let me start shooting selfie video to kind of explain what I told you guys on the day of. Like, here's how you operate the water pump. Here's how you get unstuck. Here's how you properly wash out this and that. And they liked it. So I said, you know what, I'm going to start a service around it. And that's what I did. Been doing it for about a year and a half. And yeah, man, it's been a blessing because it's one of those things that, again, that knowledge transfer. There's guys leaving, there's guys coming in. We need to shorten that knowledge gap and just so we can keep moving forward.
You're 100% correct, man. That's exactly similar to my experience in sales. It's like riding with the guys and you're hearing all these stories, and even with the public works and superintendents and stuff like that, when you're working with these guys, they have a lot of knowledge up there.
Yep.
And it's still up there. I mean, we're not bringing it out. Yeah. Like, we got to find these places to bring it out. Yeah. Like you just said, like, you're doing videos of it and you're presenting the way to do maintenance on trucks and stuff like that. Yeah. That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff I, just not recently, but, I've thought about doing, just using video as a way to promote yourself and get yourself out there. Like we're just talking about.
Video is like that medium. Like, text is cool. Audio is okay. But video, you could see the person. Yeah. You could see them on the screen. You can hear what's coming out of their mouth.
Yeah.
It brings you so much closer. It's like when you first meet somebody, I'm sure back in the 1400s, like, the pen pals was cool. But like now you do a FaceTime date and be like, dude, you ask the chick,
Yeah.
what are you about? Like, what are your intentions? Like, you
I
get to
tell
get it
people
right.
this, yeah, and then you get to see their expression because you can know if, like, I mean, people are intuitive, man. We're not dumb. We
Yeah.
know when we talk to
Yeah.
somebody, whether it's
Yeah.
some shady stuff going, like you can pick up
Yeah.
people and the vibe pretty quick. Like our vibe right now is like really like crazy because we're both on the video. We're both passionate about videos and creating content that makes sense for everybody
Yeah.
and that kind of stuff. Now, going into like what we were just talking about with institutional knowledge and the guys that are baby boomers are retiring and things like that, where do you see on the sales perspective? Let's keep it here.
Yeah.
We have a shortage of sales guys. Same
Yeah.
thing, like in this industry that
100%.
have no clue how to sell infrastructure solutions.
Yeah, yeah. And so I've always been like, I always like to ask the question, and I ask this to every pretty much manager I've had, is that would you rather, let's say a guy has 8 hours a day, right? Would you rather your guy get really, really great at people, spend 6 hours working on people skills, or spend 6 hours working on product skills? Like, should he learn what the actual industry is about, or should he just learn how to be like a guy's guy, like, have the riz and like be the guy that can, yeah,
That's funny. My
be the
kid just told
person
me
that
about this. I was like, what
yeah,
is
like
this?
the charisma. But like it's that balance of, should you get good at people or product? And I think with the way, like I always explain it the same way. If you've ever been on YouTube and watched a video on how to operate something or fix something, that's what we create for cities of utility companies. But it's the same thing on the sales side. Like if you can have a good guy, he shows up to work on time, he's good with people, he keeps himself together. Dude, who cares what he knows about the product? He can learn that. He can
Yeah.
like I've done demos to where like the demo starts at 7 a.m. I'm doing a sweeper demo.
Yeah.
I'll be in my car looking at videos like on YouTube, like, okay, I forgot this about the product. Okay, I know that. Okay. And I'm adding value to the demo, like right 10 minutes before I start the demo.
Right.
So it's like if a guy can watch a video and follow directions on how to, to value the value propositions and like all these different things about the product or service, he can sell it to somebody because he could be educated. And then now this more than me, like our customers are more educated about our products or the problem we're solving than we are. Yeah. So we're just a transfer vehicle. We're just a medium to get them to what they want. And that's why I say, like, man, just know enough about the product to be dangerous, but prospect like hell. Like be the guy that's willing to go out there and get in front of as many people as possible and then show them the product. Like let them take it from there.
Man, you're so spot on, and it's a quick way now to especially when you're selling a truck or a piece of equipment. There's a lot of intricacies within that you need to understand, and most of these guys, like you just mentioned, they probably have from historical equipment that they purchased. They know way more about like a jet truck, a factor, like all these different a piece of equipment. And if you walk in there and have one little misstep or one little misword, they're like looking at you like, dude, you don't know what you're talking about. And then the trust is gone. Like in the sales,
it's gone.
Like they're gonna be like, okay, this guy is new. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Sometimes they'll be nice to you and be like, hey, man, let me teach you something. They help you. But other times they're just like, thanks, man. See ya.
And that's the thing. Like, and I was taught, like, don't try to fake it. Yeah. Like, if you're a year and a half into this industry, if you're 10 days in, like, say it. And most of the time, if you disarm somebody and say, yo, this is my third demo, like I can write up whatever you want. I can get you whatever you want. You know more about this truck than I do. You know more about this problem than the solution that I have. So let me know exactly what you want, and I can facilitate that.
Love it.
Like, I can get it done for you. And guys usually they'll understand because you've been on sales calls. They know what they want. Like they know what they want. They know if they're not going to buy your product, they probably won't tell you, but like they know what they want.
There's been times, man, I walk into a meeting, I'm sitting down, and this is kind of the beginning when I didn't know really much about sewers or what I was doing, right? Yeah. And I walk into the meeting and I'm sitting there and we start talking and I can just read the customer. And I'm like, I can't get to this guy's level. Like I cannot talk to his level. I'm just going to be honest with him and just say, hey, look, I'm new to the industry. And that's the way I walked into it. Like I'm new. I don't know as much as you do. And that set the tone. Like I wasn't being like an average salesperson that just rolled in there trying to like spit some stuff that made no sense to that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, you're right, man. This is very helpful with the video side, where it's going to make a big difference, I think, with what you got going on. So that's awesome.
Go ahead. I was saying, I tell dealers all the time, like, if you have new salesmen, like, make 50 videos on the value proposition of your product versus the competitors, or so a salesman can come in and watch the curriculum. Because if you get hired on at like a big company, like let's say AT&T, or your biggest gas and electric company, wherever you're at, like they probably have a learning management system that walks you through exactly how they operate at their business. Yeah. So why doesn't a small 10-person dealership, in the backside of Alabama, why don't they have the same thing for their new sales rep?
Yeah.
So it's like, if you document all this stuff on video, it makes it easy for the new guy to come in, and then competence breeds confidence. Like if somebody's competent at something, if they know kind of what they're talking about, they're going to be more inclined to knock on that next door, to make that next phone call, to send out that next cold email, because they know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, we've all been in positions like, if I don't know what I'm doing, I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to sit around the office and shuffle papers. Like, I'm not going to go sell.
What do you think some of the challenges are now with a lot of the construction guys and their sales? Like, I'm historically just managed territories, right? I would be in the truck Monday to Thursday, driving all over the Midwest here, every state. I never was at home. I thought it was I got burned out. Like, after 10 years, I was toast. I was like, look, I'm not going to sustain this life. COVID hit, and I was like, I'm done. Like, digital's the way. I'm like, digital. How aren't we? What do you think is stopping companies from going and becoming more digital branding aware, like bringing awareness that way?
I would say it's companies. I'd have to bring it back to people, because people make up a company.
True.
And I'm sure you've been in plenty of these meetings and situations where you got that one alpha, right? The one guy, let's say Jim Bob's been there for 30 years. He's made millions of dollars for the company, is on a legal pad, right? He's like, oh, who needs a CRM? Who needs, a video? Like, I don't do Zoom. I see the guy face to face, flesh to flesh, belly to belly. Like, Jim Bob, I get it. Like, you're the man. Like, I'm not taking that from you. Like, everything. You're the god in this industry. I'm not taking it from you. But Jim Bob, like, times have changed. Like, I've met customers that, like, dude, they say, don't call me, just text me. Like, I'm not going to pick up some random phone number. Just text me, tell me who you are, tell me what you got, and I'll figure out a time that we can talk.
Right.
And like, emails, like, they get 50,000 emails a day. Like, dude, just text me. So I'm like, and Jim Bob would say, oh, you never text a guy. You call him, you get face to face.
Yeah.
But dude, the guy actually responded to my text messages. Like, you can sell the truck through text. You can sell, $1 million product through text messages if your customer reacts in that same way. But I think there's a lot of it's mainly people who are the stonewall, or that that roadblock to take a company to that next level. But I just think that, as time starts to prove out, like, technology doesn't lose. Like, technology is never lost. Like, never, ever. So like, I get it. You're the guy at, like, face to face at, manila envelopes. Like, dude, I don't even know how to spell manila envelope. Like, dude, what is that? Like, a printer? Who uses a printer? Like, dude, I'll email it to you.
Like, a fax machine? There's a fax machine.
Yeah. Like, what's that thing in the corner? Is it a relic? What is it? So,
it's a relic. Yeah. Dude, this is spot on, man. Man, this has been the stuff frustrations and things like that we've all dealt with in the industry has just changed so much since COVID. It seems that way. And my thing is, we're still traditional, right? It's still that, well, our marketing, or we've done this way as far as face to face. I still want my sales guys traveling. And I can tell you why we don't have, at least my opinion of why companies cannot attract new salespeople for this role in infrastructure, is because we're not going to travel. We're done. The traveling is over. I don't want to be on the road for 5 days a week. No. Go ahead. Yeah,
it's like, I mean, we can dig deeper into it. Like, with the dual income household, right?
Yeah.
Husband work, wife works. Like, you get up 7, you're shuffling the kids around, you're getting them off to school. Like, little Johnny's got baseball practice at 4:00, 5:00. Like, the day is done where the sales guy can be on the road for weeks, not talking days, weeks.
Yeah.
And like, and the wife's like cool with it because she works from home, and like, and the salesman made enough money to support that in like a decent city and like not the, you know, the backside of West Virginia, like
Right.
the day is done where like it's okay for a salesman to be on the road for weeks and like the home life is happy, because that salesman can literally get a remote job, like literally a job where he doesn't have to see a manager, boss, or nothing. He could do Zoom calls all day.
Right.
Like he's working LinkedIn, he's doing cold emails, doing cold calls, and he doesn't have to be on the road. So like, I mean, I learned in the trades or in the public works industry, like guys are leaving public works and getting $1 more for Amazon or UPS because they have a CDL and taking those jobs.
Yeah.
Because the work-life balance is probably a little bit better. You know, the benefits probably aren't as good, but you make a little bit more money. And at the end of the day, like people will care about what they make now. I think the boomer generation, they cared about retirement and pension and all that.
Oh, yeah.
But like, dude, I want a trip to Cabo now. Like, I don't care about a Corvette when I'm 70. Like, I want that now. So
Exactly. Yeah, you're spot on. And if we dig into like you know, the sacrifices you make when you do when you traditional method of like sales of face to face and traveling all over the Midwest, for example, in all these states, it really does impact the salesperson. I mean, I've seen guys addictions.
Yeah.
Dude. Oh, out the wazoo. You know, they're traveling, so they got freedom after 3 o'clock afternoon. Boom. What are you gonna do? You're bored in the hotel
That's why
room.
they say like the next highest rate of divorce is like, it goes like nurses, and it's like policemen and firefighters, and then like salesmen. Because think about it, like you know, there's the devil's in the white space in your calendar, in that free time. And think about how much free time a salesman has. And like, how many salesmen you know that like they probably got into some stupid stuff when they're on the road or at a trade show. And it's like, dude, just keep your dick in your pants. Like, dude, you're at a trade show. Like, stop, dude.
Stories I can tell you. Well, that's a whole nother show. You and I could probably talk about it. That would be unique. But yeah, you're exactly right. It's you get in a lot of freedom to do a lot of things, right? You're on the road. You get, you can do golf and you can do whatever. But there is those little things, man. You get at the bar, you're hanging out, the temptations and all these things. Dude. You don't want to be in that situation. I think we pivoted to where now this kind of interaction remotely, having these conversations, building those relationships is going to make the difference in what we do now for sales.
Yeah. I mean, I noticed that a lot of the Gen Zers is interesting because I don't drink, right? So it's always been weird in this industry. Like you take guys out to dinner and then like like, what you drinking? I'm like, I don't drink. And it's kind of weird at first, but once they know you, they're like okay with it. But I'm noticing like the Gen Zers, like the younger kids, they don't really drink that. Well, of course, they're like doing other stuff, like which is crazy. But like the alcohol really isn't a big deal for them as it was for like the generation coming before us and like our generation. But it's interesting to see that shift. And like, dude, I mean, how many guys have you met along your journey have made a mistake because they were under the influence?
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Like said some stupid, screw the deal, like
all the time.
Dude, it's crazy.
Seriously. Yeah. And it was a tough, I'm out of it. So it was a tough road back then, doing these kind of things, but it kind of switching off the sales side, which kind of correlates with what's going on now. You've been in truck sales and I'm sure you've experienced the procurement system, right? In government, B2G.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that because I think, that has been a big problem for sales, to lose incentive to keep doing this work because of low bid, man.
Yeah.
We do all this work and, build these relationships, and then we got to go to low bid. And you have a truck that's certain spec. I mean, there's only one truck that's kind of built your way in those certain specs. Can you elaborate on like what you think we could do better on that side of things?
Well, I love this question because you're solving for it now, but I'll kind of answer it 2 parts. One is speed, and one is like the whole low bid aspect. So the speed, like, speed is probably one of the greatest like things known to man. Like if you can take time out of a deal, like more things happen. Yeah. I mean, you know this more than me. You're selling something to a city or to a municipality, whatever, and it like the average sales cycle can be 9 to 18 months. Like it's sometimes longer than that. You meet a guy and then by the time COVID is over, he's giving you a PO. Like it literally takes that long. And that is where like I see when, younger guys get in the industry, they go, man, like, of course you start off with the company and you're getting like decent money, but then like that money falls off or you start working against your draw. And it's like, dude, these deals aren't going to actually close for another 6 months. Like I got to eat beans and rice for another 6 months.
Yeah.
And that like, that takes the A player and makes them go, I'm out of here. I'm out of this industry. This is crazy. Like, this is nuts.
Yeah.
And then B, like when a city takes so long to get something done, the problem that might have been like on a scale of a 4 is probably a 7 now. And like now we're trying to solve a 7 problem with the 4 product or a 4 solution.
Right.
So like that it grows over time. And it's like, dude, if we could take now, and I know why they did the bid process. I know why there's procurement. I know why there's people getting paid 6 figures to keep scumbags out of the industry and like all that wishy-washy. I mean, we all have heard the stories. Like, a supervisor was buying a Corvette every time they got a new truck. Like, it's like weird stuff has been going on.
Yeah.
And I understand there has to be checks and balances. There has to be ways to make sure that no hanky-panky going on.
Right.
But it's the time is what, like, I think it keeps a lot of good people out. And then also like the low bid aspect, like there's no incentive, because we've all been on deals where like you could tell the guy's just asking you for a third quote because he needs to get 3 quotes.
Right.
Like, dude, if you would just tell me you need 3 quotes, I can just give you a quote, but don't make me run through hoops and call 10 people and source all these products and get all the pricing together and then give it to you. Like, we weren't going to buy it anyways. We knew you're going to be high, so we're just going to go with the low bid. I'm like, bro, like, dude, like people say salesmen lie the most. I'm like, dude, no, salesmen get lied to the most.
Exactly.
Like, if you just told us exactly what you need, I can perform, get you what you want, and go down the road. I won't be following you up for 6 months saying, hey, how we looking?
Yeah.
Dude, just tell me you only needed a third quote and I'll get it to you. Like, it's no big deal.
Literally, I'm getting flashbacks. My PTSD is kicking in right now. I'm like, oh man, I remember those days. But yeah, that's hard because you would literally set up the relationship, get your product in there, and then they need 3 quotes. And then the customer's asking you, hey man, can you give me the 3 quotes? And I'm like, I can't. Like, I can't get you 3 quotes. That's so messed up, first of all.
Yeah.
And I get it. You need 3 quotes. I'll do my best to try and get you hooked up. But what am I going to call a competitor and be like, hey man, we're all getting bid against each other on this. Can you send a quote? It's just so messed up, that kind of process to do, only because they don't have the resources to be able to find equal like products that we might be selling, right? It's just, how do you find that? You ain't Googling Vector truck, these specifications and that kind of stuff, and who sells it nearby. Like, you don't have that resource.
Yeah.
Right? It's
and that's why I think like the salesman in this industry isn't really going anywhere anytime soon, because you still need guys to show you exactly what's out there in the market for them to make a good decision on purchasing.
Yeah.
But I do think that there is a better way to get it done. I know you're solving for it. I'm eager to see, like, in the next 2, 3, 5 years, like what it looks like. But I do know that there has to be some type of shift, because we can't keep doing because a lot of these bids, they'll put a spec out. A company will say, yeah, we meet the spec, and it's not apples to apples. And they're like 20 grand cheaper. And I'm like, dude, you don't even have a water pump on that thing. Like, it squirts water. Like, stop. Like,
that's what happens. Like, especially if you're like competing against maybe another company or another brand, and they're trying to influence their way of what they think the product has, and it's better, right? Yeah. And then the spec, like you just said, it didn't have a pump or something on it, and then it got missed, right?
Yeah.
Now you got to do a change order and all this stuff. And then it becomes just
5 more weeks.
Exactly. That's the kind of stuff that's going on, and it's got to be a better way. And I know that people are using sole source now for equipment, and there's a nonprofit out there. Yeah, exactly. I wasn't going to say the name because apparently that's No, you're good, dude. We're promoting, but those kind of things are great because they give they're great in certain ways. It's another topic, but they give a resource to the cities to buy direct spec that they want, and that's
someone
value,
they want,
right? It's their decision. It's their value that they predict or they want, and it's what they are seeing in the spec that comes out of Sourcewell, and that we're going to buy from it. So,
because how many operators do you know that a new truck lands on the yard and they're like, dude, we even want this? They always buy low bid. Quit buying this junk. Like, why do we got to operate this stuff, but they just buy the lowest bid out. So what,
Yeah.
and they're looking at us like, no, I try to get you the best thing in that I try to get what you wanted, but our price is higher. So therefore you don't get it.
Exactly. My first use case was for my product was trucks, buying trucks. I was like, man, this isn't made for trucks, but let's do it. We did it. So we advertised it and did all this stuff because the reason that they didn't want to use the state contract, they were like, and it's 5-hour drive to the cheapest vendor that was selling the trucks, for example, to get on the state bid. 5-hour drive. So just imagine the maintenance, the stuff you would have to do to send your guys 5 hours back, 5 hours, it's a whole day wasting time, that kind of stuff. So, we definitely need a better way of fixing procurement, and that would help incentivize maybe more salespeople to get involved in the process. Maybe just kind of
it makes the faster the money moves and exchanges hands, the more the more sharks in the water. Of course, you'll get more like and that's kind of one of the beautiful things about this industry is people always say, well, kind of like yourself, like what's the competition? And I say, well, it's not that much competition because there's a huge moat around this industry. One of the biggest moats is time, right? Like nobody wants to play an 18-month sales cycle game, right? Like that's, in government, like, and then also the amount of things you have to go through just to be able to sell to a city. First you got to find the city, then you got to find the decision maker, and then you got to wait 18 months. Like that's a huge moat that keeps kind of competitors out who would be flashing the pan and selling, snake oil and kind of ruin it for everybody else. So, and you could tell like the companies that have been around for 40, 50, 100 years, like there's a reason, like they're competent. They're good at what they do. You can tell they retain employees, like sales guys. Yeah. Like how many sales guys do you know that they drop into this industry and they get burnt out in 2 years, or else that, 1 year they're looking and the second year they're pretty much just riding around in their truck, looking for an out. So I think when you can pay, go ahead.
I was just going to say, usually it's the 8-month window. I hit it my first time, man. I was like 8 months in. I was like, dude, I can't even close anything. I was like, what? I was questioning myself. I was questioning my abilities. Dude, and then everyone's like, no, stick it out. It's like 3 years. I'm like, 3 years? Jeez. 3 years. Come on.
You tell my wife that, bro.
I was like, 3 years, because that was the cycle. You build the relationships, you get in, you work with the budgets, you finally get approval or whatever for the procurement opportunity, and then you get in. But the 3 years, I was like, man, to actually build a backlog of commission. That's a long time to just. And that made no sense to me back then. It still makes no sense to me now. But, once it did get going, it was a lot of benefits to it. So yes, there was a lot of benefits to B2G sales, and it does take time. But once you build that up, it's awesome, because then you have a good stable commission coming in, and it's working well.
It starts to get good.
What other things have you thought about that we could improve on in this, with the digital kind of world we're in now, besides what we kind of talked about?
I think just more transparency. Like I think there will come a day, and of course I'm kind of biased to like the equipment side. There will come a day where they don't really need a salesman to come and sell them a product. Like, and you're already seeing it. Like a guy will spec out a truck and know exactly what he wants, and then go to the 3 salesmen he knows in that space and say, this is what I want, give me your best price or whatever. Let's do demos. But I think there will come a time where, the city and the dealer or the customer or the seller will be able to do business without having to have a person in between. It probably won't be in the next 5-10 years, but I think that only will come with both sides are transparent.
Right.
Both sides will kind of, pull back the curtain and say, okay, this is what we do with our trucks, and not caring about what the competitors see and all that. Cause there's a lot of like, oh, we won't show our competitor what we do with our product because they'll steal it, rip it off, and then sell it. And it's like, dude, like they can easily buy your truck and just rip it apart and rip it off and sell it.
So the whole thing potentially if it's not patented.
Like so stop the games and like just be more transparent on both sides. Like if the city knew exactly what they want and what they needed, and the dealer or the manufacturer knew exactly what the city needed, they can make that marriage happen.
But
I mean, I think what would move the industry forward is transparency. I think there will be a kind of a more of a shakeup when we do in the next 10 years, when like the OGs do retire, and we got a whole bunch of young bucks in the industry. Like, it's interesting. Like, you probably see this along with your podcast, that there's a sense of people who won't even reply to your email because they think it's a scam. Right. You just want to have them on the podcast. You're not trying to sell them anything. You're not trying to pitch them anything. You just want to have them on the podcast.
Right.
And they think it's a scam because that's that generation. Like, you know, they think it's a scam. But, you know, a Gen Zer or a millennial go, oh, yeah, it sounds cool, man. I listen to podcasts. Of course I'd hop on your podcast. Yeah. So I think once that shifts a little bit, I think there'll be a little bit more trust in the industry. And then also, I think I kind of what I was saying is a moat around the industry. Once more competent players enter the industry, it's kind of like, you know, when recording artists could go independent, right? Yeah. Like at first it was only like 5 big labels and they pushed to where they wanted to push. But now like anybody with a microphone and a Mac could make a record, like a hit record.
Oh yeah.
Like, of course there was a whole bunch of like BS that came out, like just stuff that nobody wanted to hear came out, but the cream actually rose to the top. Yeah. Like you could actually see more quality coming out of certain pockets of the industry, and it kind of rose the tide, which rose the ships. And I think that's going to happen in the industry, is that more people are going to come into it, competent people, and then it's going to raise the quality of everything. Because I mean, go ahead.
I was just going to say, you're spot on, man. Transparency and accountability and you know, training is what this industry needs to work on. I think that's really what it comes down to. You're working on the training side, like how to sell a product faster, right? Using videos, things like that, right? And then accountability, where procurement needs to be better. You know, we need to have accountability systems kind of in place. And then, you know, just transparency, like, okay, well, who's coming to the table to bid or whatever, you know, that's just talk about it. You know, is it full of crap or is it not? You know, we need it. We need it. And we need it bad. I think it's just a matter of time, like you said, to make that happen.
It all it takes is for usually like the bigger players in the industry to start accepting and adopting it. Then the smaller players, they look up to the bigger cities and they go, oh, okay, we can actually do that also.
No, this has been great, man. Joseph, good stuff. I can't wait to do another podcast on a different topic at some point. I have some ideas that you and I could chat about. I try and keep the podcast around 30 minutes, but how can people get a hold of you? How can they learn more about your service that you're offering and go from there?
Sure. Best place is the website, vitenda.us. And then also on LinkedIn, find me, Joseph Blackman, on LinkedIn. I post a lot of stuff. Again, I'm a believer in kind of doing what the associations are supposed to be doing, just educating and advocating. Like if you can educate and advocate about your product or service or in that realm, you're going to buy that. You're going to build goodwill within the industry. Follow me on LinkedIn. Vitenda.us is a website. Again, my aim is to tighten or to lessen that gap of industry knowledge from the baby boomers or for the generation that's leaving to the generations that's coming in.
Love it, man. Making a big difference in the infrastructure world and helping others is the key. So appreciate your help, man, and getting this done. We'll talk soon. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me on, man.
Thank you for listening to the Infrastructure Hot Seat Podcast. We hope that this show brought you some insight on relevant topics within the infrastructure world. Please join us every 2 weeks on Tuesday for the next episode. If you're interested in being a guest on this podcast, please set up a 15-minute interview with your host at calendly.com/Chad Smeltzer.